Hello, everyone. Greetings from beautiful Dallas. This is Mitch Wagner from Light Reading at our Network Virtualization and SDN Americas event. I'm here with Prayson Pate from ADVA. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Prayson. So you had a really interesting panel. Yesterday you gave a presentation. It was about uCPE, the platform is the killer app. And I went, that's one of those titles that makes you go, What does that mean?
Well, what that means is it's taken us a long time to make any progress with NFV, and part of it was bringing these technologies out of the data center and into the network. And just as in the data center we're leveraging cloud for rapid deployment, we're doing the same thing now at the edge. But to get there, that means we needed to emulate what we did with the smartphone and make it easy for operators to deploy new services and make it easy for them to interact with customers. And so that meant bringing in operational features as well as the technologies that were needed to enable this. I mean, so obviously we've had benefit from the reduction in cost of the servers and the memory and the VNFs, but the operational features that created a platform that enable quick and rapid deployment of new services is what's really driving the success that we're seeing now.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you used a smartphone metaphor, and I think to extend the metaphor there would be like the killer app for the iPhone was the App Store. Right. It was the platform that allowed delivery of all these apps.
Exactly, and we're seeing that now. So our value as a network operating system is hosting a wide variety of virtual network functions on a wide variety of hardware. So the other side of the App Store is a wide variety of phones. So you pick your phone, and then you're either running Apple or Android, and then you pick your apps. Mm-hmm. But by virtue of having that operating system in the App Store, you can pick the phone that's right for you, and you can pick the apps that are right for you. And that's what we're seeing now in the uCPE space, is that operators can pick the server that's right based on capacity or even local sourcing. That was a point that was mentioned yesterday, is that certain places are hard to get equipment into. I was just in Australia, and some of the customers and operators I was talking to there were talking about the difficulty of getting in certain servers that are associated with appliance implementations of SD-WAN. So if you can move away from that and locally source a server, you make it much easier to move forward, because without the server you can't do anything. But the value is not really in the server, it's in the combination of the server and the application. So by decoupling the hardware and the software, pick your server, pick your applications, and go forward, we can now roll out things much more quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm pushing the metaphor too far, but you think we're pushing metaphors far now? Wait a minute, okay. But I don't know if I'm pushing this metaphor too far, but I think with the smartphones we're seeing a lot of we've seen a lot of convergence, where initially there was a vast difference between Android phones and iPhones, and now you pretty much get the same apps on both. Is that pushing the metaphor too far? Or?
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, we are seeing some convergence. So early on, there was some debate about, do we host functions at the edge or centrally? Mm-hmm. And is what's going to be the applications that are driving it? So right now we're seeing that while a lot of the infrastructure applications that we're talking about here, the 5G network /SYNC, virtual RAN, all that, a lot of that's being pushed centrally. Certain applications have to run at the edge, specifically SD-WAN, firewall, local compute. And in rolling that out, we're seeing a very standard model. SD-WAN, pick one of the top 5 or 6. Firewall, pick one of the top 3 or so, combined with some other set of applications. The way my boss James Buchanan puts it, a long tail of applications. Yeah. So it goes off after that. But seeing a lot of IoT, starting to see WAN op in some cases. People thought that had gone away, but it's come back. Starting to see microcompute, and what I mean by that is hosting of enterprise applications. So you might call it cloud or infrastructure as a service. You might call it microcloud. You might call it store in a box. Whatever it is, it's a hosting of an application run by the end user, but on infrastructure provided by the service provider.
Okay.
And that same model also works for wholesale. So you have an out-of-market operator coming in. Instead of just getting a tail from the local operator, now they can get a tail and compute, run their overlay services, and not have to send anybody in country.
What do you mean by a tail?
A connection.
Okay. So how are we seeing customer demand driving NFV?
Well, in the beginning, I used to say, why is NFV important to customers? And the answer was, it's not. They don't care.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see some customers care, because they realize that if a service is tied to an appliance, changing the service means changing the appliance. And if you are rolling out to your offices in 50 or 60 countries all over the world, and you want to be able to change services, that means changing appliances, and that is no longer acceptable. So sophisticated customers are saying, even in their, if they're not going to run it themselves for a managed service offering, they're saying, we require that the service be virtualized because we want dynamic services. And if you start bringing us a stack of boxes, that's not going to fly.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. We had some fun in the pages of Light Reading. I had done an article talking to a couple of NFV skeptics. They were saying, they basically said NFV isn't going to work. It's got to be more cloud native and not focused on virtual machines. It's too rigid. I did talk with a woman at Verizon who said, you know, that's all great, but here in the real world, we're dealing with virtual machines in the real world of today. So I thought it was a nice article, and then I had some fun at the end. I came up with the whole, is NFV driving off a cliff?
Yes.
And I ran a screenshot from Thelma and Louise, and I was, spoilers for a 30-year-old movie, sorry people. And then, much to my delight, completely unknown to me, you had done a separate piece for us.
What was the response?
A response, the Smokey and the Bandit theme.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, I think I've been thinking about it this morning. Smokey and the Bandit is basically a movie about service providers. They're business people. They have a challenge that is impossible to meet that they say can't be done.
Exactly.
They have to be agile. They've got a long way to go and got a short time to get there.
That's exactly
so. What do you see as the promise of NFV? Why is it working?
Well, that's exactly right. And with respect to Vicky at Verizon, I mean, they're a great customer and a great model because they're going out and they're doing what these other operators say can't be done. And that's the point, is that when people say something can't be done, the easiest way to diffuse that or defeat it is to show that it can be done. And it is being done.
Just do it.
Just do it. And we're seeing a wide rollout of deployments by innovative service providers. We've announced Colton, Verizon, and there's many more that are coming. But when operators come out and show that they can deliver services with value to the customer, not based on NFV per se or reduction of cost, but being able to offer dynamic services, service on demand, innovative services, being able to collapse local compute along with communication services and reduce the number of boxes, be able to offer wholesale services. In other words, things that can't be done today otherwise. Then that's real innovation, that's real value, and that lets them win business, and that gets people's attention.
Okay, great. Great. So thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. And,
or should I say 10-4 good buddy?
And we'll be back for Smoking the Bandit too.
Yes, that's right. All right.
Thanks so much.
Have a good day, everyone.